Even if they hadn't been leaked to death before their official announcement, the Pixel 3 and 3 XL probably won't surprise anyone. The new flagship's best features are software tweaks built into familiar hardware, making it hard to tell what's different. Google has clearly spent a lot of time on its camera's algorithms to help you take better pictures, but didn't change the optical hardware much. The phones themselves also look nearly identical to their predecessors, with some performance upgrades under the hood. The focus this year clearly is on software, like using Assistant to screen your calls or make restaurant reservations, as well as to help you unplug. The question then is if all the new and best features about these phones are in the software, and those with older devices will ultimately get them, is there a point in shelling out for the new hardware? The answer, surprisingly, is yes, but with a caveat. The majority of the updates to the Pixel 3 revolve around photography. Specifically, the new features here are Top Shot, Photo Booth, Super Resolution Zoom, and Playground. Although the camera interface has been tweaked to make it easier to access popular modes like Portrait and Panorama, most of these new features won't be obvious at first glance. They're largely improvements that work in the background to enhance your pictures. Top Shot is pretty straightforward. The pixels take a few shots before and after you press the shutter and suggest the best one for you. You'll just have to make sure to enable motion when you're shooting your photos for this to work. Here's a picture of me and our video producer, Brian. And this was a motion picture we took earlier. It has 2 recommended shots in it. The one that is the original, the recommended, and another recommended option. The original, it's all right, you know, we are happy. But in the recommended shot, which you can see Google's software kind of tweaking as you go over there, Brian looks happier, I guess. We have this other recommended shot. There's not a huge amount of difference in these pictures, but if you take a look at what it avoided or ignored, there's a lot of bad shots that Google was able to weed out for us, which is nice. Super Resolution Zoom is designed to help take close-ups of a subject from a distance, like if you're a sneaky paparazzo or a stalker, or a fan at a large concert or sporting event. Again, there's no mode to activate here. All you have to do is zoom in before taking the photo, and the Pixel 3 monitors how your hand is moving to compensate for blur and use information from multiple frames to make your shot cleaner. So here we go. Super Res Zoom is not an extra mode. You just have to zoom in as far as it can go, and that's really basically it. And then you can just press the button, and then Google will understand the way your hand is shaking as I'm doing now and compensate for that and fill in the details. So let's take a look at the shots we got. It's not bad for what it is, but it's not, you know, as good as we were seeing from the keynote samples, for sure. And you can see that while the details are relatively clear, they're still muddy. Like it's not as crisp as you would expect or hope for. Let's compare it really quickly with my Pixel 2 over here. We're going to zoom in, and it looks like we're getting about as close as we did before. A lot of noise already immediately is showing up on the screen, but somehow it is brighter. So we zoom into this shot, if it will actually work. If we zoom into this shot, you can see actually the noise. There's a lot of noise in this compared to what we saw earlier with the Pixel 3. So it looks like it's doing a good job of eliminating noise at the very least. Then there's new stuff like Photo Booth and Playground, which are less useful and really more for fun. Switch to Photo Booth mode and launch it if you're feeling cute and want to get into a selfie session without fumbling around for a physical or on-screen button. It'll automatically snap pictures when it detects a smile, which makes it useful for hands-free picture taking, but useless if you don't intend to smile, like me. Meanwhile, Playground is a new AR sticker feature that puts characters like Marvel's Iron Man or a dancing childish Gambino in the scene with you or your subject. So sadly, it doesn't look like you can use the wide-angle selfie camera in Playground mode, which is a shame because it would be nice to have some extra space in your background just to squeeze in the extra characters. But let's see. High five, bro. High five, bro. It's really not bad. Quite realistic. Having that extra space in my selfies also gave portrait mode some room to apply better background blur. Now, on the Pixel 3 and Ultra Pixels, you can edit the amount of bokeh after the fact, and Google's algorithms here are pretty sharp. My pictures of food, coworkers, and more food came out clear with subtle blurring that looks natural. Overall, the Pixel 3 takes well-exposed pictures thanks to its HDR+ smarts. The camera even does pretty well in low light, and that's without the upcoming night sight feature. The image quality isn't a ton better than the Pixel 2, but I still appreciate its color accuracy and sharp details. Plus, pictures just look so much better on the new Pixel's gorgeous 5.5-inch screen, but I'll save all my lovin' for that till later. Other non-camera software features are mostly what you'll get with the Android 9 Pie update, though something we haven't seen is call screen. Since Google announced this feature, people have said that it's basically voicemail, and to some extent, I agree. It's a way to ignore calls when you can't or don't want to and follow up later. But it's so much more than just that. With call screen, Google is using Assistant to transcribe in real time what your caller is saying and also contextually come up with smart suggestions that are relevant to the call so you can decide and tell at a glance what you want to do with it. Other new features like Do Not Disturb or Flip to Hush will be familiar to people already on Android Pie. If you aren't on the Digital Wellbeing beta yet, this will be one of the biggest changes to expect. I set time limits for apps like Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail to keep myself from constantly being tuned into work, but I was surprised to see that I actually use some other apps a fair amount too. According to the Digital Wellbeing dashboard, I also spend a lot of time in my Photos app, no doubt scrutinizing my selfies or vacation pictures for the most Instagram-worthy options. It's nice to get some insight on how I use my phone, but I haven't found this dashboard very accurate or useful. Wind down, however, which turns your screen black and white when it's near your bedtime, is more effective at getting me to put my phone away. Though I'll admit, I keep using my phone into the wee hours of the morning in black and white anyway. I was excited to try out the new Pixel Stand interface, which turns your phone's lock screen into a more helpful dashboard when you place it on the wireless charger. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it up and running during my review period. In fact, some of the software on our test units felt a little buggy overall, while some new photography features were just somehow hard to find. But I suspect that has to do with the pre-release software, and these are easy enough problems to solve with over-the-air updates. Simplicity seems to be Google's strategy when it comes to hardware design. Externally, there isn't very much new with the Pixel 3 and 3 XL, save for a controversial notch that we'll get to later. The company made little touches to streamline the look of the devices, like moving the SIM tray from the side to the bottom next to the charging port. These are small touches that you probably won't notice every day though. What you will notice is how exquisite the Pixel 3 is to hold. I've fondled a lot of phones in my life, and in general, they've all become truly gorgeous, especially in the past 2 years. The Pixel 3's design isn't groundbreaking. It almost feels like an iPhone 8, but a little curvier with rounder sides. The 3XL, meanwhile, feels similarly premium and looks nice, until you turn the phone on. That's where the controversy begins. If you hate the notch here, you'll detest the 3XL's design. If you like screens to stretch out to the edge, you might be able to forgive Google's notch. It really is quite large though, and so it's a good thing that Google is adding a way for you to mask this. It's just sad that you'll then be left with bits of screen on the phone that would just be sitting around doing nothing. Frankly, if you don't need a larger screen for functional reasons, you'll be better off getting the regular Pixel 3. The smaller handset screen is surprisingly my favorite thing about the new phone. It's significantly better than the Pixel 2, offering sharper image quality and brighter, richer colors. By default, the Pixel 3 screen is set to the new adaptive mode, which Google says provides a mix of vibrant yet natural colors that most users prefer. You can switch this to regular sRGB or boosted for more muted colors if you wish, but I liked its default setting. I haven't seen any blue shift errors yet, and though colors like gray sometimes aren't as accurate or neutral as before, I'm just so taken with the Pixel 3's Full HD Plus HDR screen, I don't even mind. It's a huge step up from the Pixel 2, and somehow feels even better than the Pixel 3 XL. Both phones use a Snapdragon 845 processor with 4 gigs of RAM, which seems a little scarce. But Google did tell us that the amount of RAM is sufficient, especially considering the new devices have dedicated chips for image processing like the Pixel Visual Core and security, which is the Titan security chip. I haven't pushed the Pixel 3 to the extreme yet, but so far it's pretty speedy. Compared to my Pixel 2, the latest flagship isn't significantly faster, but because it's a new phone with fewer photos and apps weighing it down, it feels more responsive. On the Pixel 3's brilliant display, my Instagram feed and apps list whizzing right by makes the phone feel fresh and lag-free. So we're just gonna run a really quick basic download test just to see in terms of speed how the new phones perform. On the left over here is the regular Pixel 2, in the middle is the Pixel 3, and on the right is the Pixel 3 XL. They're all disconnected from their mobile data and all running on the same Wi-Fi network. Go in. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go. All right, so let's see how this goes. The Pixel 3 XL is pulling fast ahead, very much faster than both of them. And it's done. Now we've got to see the 2 and the 3, the Pixel 2 and the 3. This is pretty close. In my earlier testing, the Pixel 3 was actually faster, but it looks like they're neck and neck this time around. Wow, installing takes a lot longer on my Pixel 2, which obviously has a lot more apps on it than my Pixel 3 does. So, you know, there might be certain other factors affecting this performance that we can't really account for right now. But, you know, there's not like a huge, massive speed increase from last year's model, and also not that much of a difference between the 3 and the 3 XL. So I've just cleared all my background apps on my Pixel 2 on the left over here and my Pixel 3, and they're again both running the same on the same Wi-Fi network. We're going to go over to Spotify and see how long it takes the both of them to download a playlist. 1, 2, 3, go. The download speeds really seem to be about the same between the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 3. They really are coming in neck and neck. Overall, despite a few software bugs, the Pixel 3 and 3 XL are capable machines that won't slow you down. The good news is, since most of the bugs here have to do with software, fixing them shouldn't be too difficult and will likely happen over the air in time. The bad news is that since the majority of the updates are in the software, there's no real need to shell out for the new devices if you already own a Pixel. I will say though, the smaller Pixel 3 is worth the upgrade. Its sumptuous display alone will make your photos and videos look like you actually live in 2018, not some sepia-tinted era. The Pixel 3 XL, however, is not for people who don't like its notch, unless they desperately need a larger Android phone and are okay with masking it. With the Pixel 3 and 3 XL, it doesn't feel like Google has made great leaps on hardware, nor will it make as big a splash on photography as it did with last year's cameras. But it's definitely laying a foundation for its software to shine.